President Lunahara. Vice President Chaput, present. Treasurer Weddle. Secretary LaSorsa. Vice Treasurer Hokinson. Chief Justice Wu. Chief of Staff. Director of PR. Director of Wellness and Inclusion. Pro Temp Ludewan. Senator Beckman. Senator Fisher. Senator Capo. Senator Khan is excused. Apologies. Senator Novak. Senator Pena. Senator Rose. Advisor Artajani. Advisor Wadsworth. Webb. CFB. Wildcat Media. Wildcat Esports. College Council Rep. SAC is not here, and ResLife is also not here. All right. That concludes roll call. Moving to the approval of the minutes. Is there any discussion for the minutes? Senator Novak?
Can I make a motion before we approve the minutes, or should I wait till approval of the agenda?
For what?
Suspend the part of House rules.
This is just on the minutes, so we'll
Okay,
wait.
I'll wait. I yield.
All right. Is there anything for the minutes of last meeting? This is March 12th. Seeing no further discussion for the minutes of March 12th, we'll go into voting on the minutes. Does anyone oppose unanimous approval? Seeing no disapproval, that passes unanimously. Moving on to the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion for this? Senator Novak?
Okay. Now I'd like to make a motion to suspend House rules, the part of House rules that limits discussion for audience members and senators to be 5 minutes per piece of legislation. I don't remember the exact article number, but it's that one.
We have a motion to suspend House rules. Is there a second? Second by Senator Rose. Going to discussion on the suspension of rules. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll go into voting. All those in favor of suspending House rules referring to the limit of debate, is there? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? All those who abstain, that passes 7-0-0. Back in discussion, the agenda as a whole. Webb?
This is a question. It says Senator Ritchie's on the agenda, but you did not call her name.
Correct. CFB?
Vice President announcement to the announcements part of the agenda.
Is there a second? Second by Pro Temp Ludewan. Going discussion on the amendment. Is there any discussion for this amendment? Seeing no discussion, we'll go into voting on the amendment. All those in favor of adding a President and Vice President announcement to announcements, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Are we going to redo that? All those in favor of adding the 2 announcements to announcements, please raise your hand. All those opposed and all those who abstain, that passes 7-0-0. Back in discussion, the agenda as a whole. Pro Temp Ludewan.
2526-22 from the table.
A motion to strike Resolution 2526-22 from the table. Is there a second? This is resolution. This is Sarat Fatima, Senator nominee. Is that a second? Second by Senator Beckman. Is there any discussion for this? Senator Novak.
Senators, I did kind of overhear this, but I think she's not here, so there's no point of us doing the resolution if the senator's not here for us to interview, because that's the reason why they get rid of it.
Correct. She was unable to come today. Okay. Is there any further discussion for striking Resolution 2526-22 from old business? Seeing no further discussion, we'll go into voting. All those in favor of striking the resolution? All those opposed? And all those who abstain? That passes unanimously. Back in discussion of the agenda as a whole. Senator Novak?
I'd like to make a motion to make it so open forum cannot be pushed back past 1:50, if I can.
Yep, that would be a set open forum. I'm trying to think of how that wording works, but yes, anyways, we have a motion to, what was the time?
1:50.
A motion to go into open forum at 1:50, second by Senator Fisher. All right, is there any discussion for this motion? Senator Novak?
The main reason for doing this is just that way there's enough time for people to announce candidacy for the election, since the election is about to start and they need to announce candidacy before we lose quorum, because if we push it back to 1:55, we'll probably lose quorum and people won't be able to announce candidacy. I yield.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Senator Rose?
Quorum?
Correct.
Yeah, so should this motion just be rescinded at that point? I think, should Senator Novak choose?
Well, if there's no further discussion, we're going to go vote on it anyways.
Yeah.
Seeing no further discussion, we'll go into voting on having open forum at 1:50. All those in favor of having open forum at 1:50, please raise your hand. All those opposed? We're going to redo that again. All those in favor of having open forum at 1:50, please raise your hand. All those opposed? And all those who abstain, that passes 6-1-0. Back in discussion of the agenda as a whole, is there any further discussion? Pro Tem Ludewan?
2526-13 to the top of new business, and resolution 2526-25 just below that one.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I apologize.
Resolution 2526-23 to the top of new business, followed by resolution 2526-25.
All right, we have a motion to move resolutions 23 and 25 to the top of new business. Is there a second? Second by Senator Pena. Going to discussion on the motion to change up the order of new business. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go into voting. All those in favor of moving the two mentioned resolutions, 2526-23 and 2526-25 to the top of new business, please raise your hand. All those opposed? All those abstain, that passes 7-0-0. All righty, is there any further discussion for today's agenda? Treasurer Weddle. We have a motion to use roll call motion. So moved by Senator Beckman. Is there a second? Second by Pro Temp Ludewan. Going into discussion on the use of roll call voting. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll go into voting. All those in favor of roll call voting, please raise your hand. All those opposed? All right, that passes by a 4-3 majority. Alrighty, back in discussion of the agenda as a whole. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll go into voting, starting with Senator Pena. Senator Rose. Senator Capo. Senator Beckman. Senator Novak. Senator Fisher. Pro Temp Ludewan. All right, that passes unanimously. That concludes the approval of the minutes and agenda. Moving on to announcements, starting with President announcement.
Good morning, everybody. Seeing as we have a lot of stuff still to cover for the rest of the semester, we are setting a total of 4 emergency meetings for the remainder of the semester. The dates are of the following: March 31st, April 14th, April 21, April 28th. Each of these meetings will be from 12 to 2 p.m. The March 31st one is going to be in Cancela A129. April 14th is going to be in Student Center NPR right here. April 21 is going to be in Student Center NPR. April 28 is going to be in Student Center NPR. We understand that a lot of you may have meetings during that time. I suggest that you work around your schedules to find different times for these meetings. In addition, all these details will be sent out to you by email, and all bills and resolutions for the upcoming Tuesday meeting will be due on Sunday at 12, if you'd like to add anything for all senators. That's it.
I'd like to ask any questions to be asked about the said announcement. Wait until open forum. All right. Moving on to Vice President announcement, I would like to formally announce that Senator Ritchie has resigned effective immediately. All right, that concludes announcements. Moving on to guest speaker. Mike, is he here today? Mike Ayala? All right. All right, then we will move on from guest speakers. Going into executive reports, starting with President.
Good morning, everybody. The central bus passes are here. We're working on the promotion side of things. We're giving you all the details of how to get them and where to get them and when you can get them. But they are here, and that promotion will be out very soon. Besides that, the Swipe It Forward initiative is also ready. For a reminder of what this is, you'll basically be able to donate your guest meal swipes, and other people may request those guest meal swipes anonymously. And as of right now, we got the approval from our Dean of Student Affairs. We've talked with Airmark, and everything is ready to go. We'll be sending out the promotions for all of this very, very soon. You'll be able to see how to do it and how to request for these meal swipes. As of right now, they're only available for the campus center, and I would say campus center will be a better bang for your buck. So please look out for those. Last but not least, the Regalia request is due this Friday, so if you'd like a Regalia for your commencement, please fill out the application that I sent out on the email a while back. If you can't find that email, please let me know and I'll send it over to you. But that's about it. Thank you.
For the last couple of weeks, I've been working with the orgs to start preparing for wrapping up for the end of the year. Thanks. Treasury report.
Hi, everybody. As hopefully everyone's seen, the budget is now on the agenda for next year. It's fully balanced. We are actually under our expected operating revenue by about $10, so we're doing great, folks. Hoping it won't be too tough of a discussion, all things considered. If any of our senators, horseshoe members, audience members, anyone else has questions about what's in the budget, please feel free to reach out to me directly. You don't necessarily have to ask those questions on the Senate floor. You absolutely should, right? Especially if you're a voting representative, but if you just have a clarifying question or you're wondering why something is the way it is, please just reach out to me. For financial policy, it is still on the table. It is the first item of business that the Senate will be discussing today. I am hopeful that we can pass it today and be done with this policy, which has been worked on for over a year at this point. I did also wanted to provide to everybody a little bit of an update on the reserves poll. The reserves poll that passed in February authorized $30,000 for the next 3 years of class gifts. That's the class gift of 2027, 2028, and 2029. The Executive Board decided in consultation with Auxiliary Services and the Student Association's Board of Directors to transfer the $30,000 to the foundation. As some of y'all might be aware, the foundation handles our class gift purchasing process and generally holds on to the leftover funds that aren't spent for class gifts. This allows us to use those gifts in the future, like when this year, for example, the class gifts exceeds the amount that we budgeted. The reason for transferring this $30,000 is because student government, as a student government of the SUNY system, is not allowed to make investments. So that $30,000 was essentially just going to sit there. We do have a savings account, but savings accounts generally have very low interest rates, whereas the foundation partners with an investment firm, and they've been quite happy with their returns. So hopefully for, say, the class gift of 2029, rather than $10,000, they might have something closer to $11,000, $12,000, depending on how things go. So that's really just the rationale behind it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me during open forum or after the meeting about that. That's all from me. I yield.
Secretary.
No report.
All right. Before we move on to director reports, Mike Ayala, would you like to make your guest speaker? Oh.
Thank you for eyeing me too. You right there. I just want to thank SGU, obviously, for your support. We do have our day of giving today. It's been going on since 8 a.m. There's been a ton of gifts that have come through. Right now, we have until 24 hours. So, okay, you can hear me. All right. So yeah, it's been 24. It'll end in 24 hours. So 8 a.m. tomorrow. Our goal as a campus is to fundraise $300,000 for campus community and students like yourselves through student scholarships, student emergency fund, et cetera. So if any family members that are able to support at any amount, there's no gift too small. or too large that can't make a positive impact. And to add a little something to it too, we do have incentives for the giving ranges. You can go on sunypoly.edu. It'll be the first thing that pops up on the home screen there. You can see all the fun stuff we have. There's some giving blocks right now. Like we currently have our lunch rush, which is with LAFA. If you donate $50, you can get a $10 gift card to LAFA. And then later tonight we'll have Dine and Donate. If you donate $100, you get $25 gift certificate to Delmonico Steakhouse here in Utica. We also have, tomorrow morning, we have what we call the finish line. So we do our signature alumni day at the track in Saratoga. So if you donate $100 or more during the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we're all throughout the country here, there'll be a raffle to win 2 tickets to that event that'll be in July. So a lot of fun stuff on there. I'm going to leave some of these for you guys just to have in case your family members or even yourselves, if you're willing to do that. Like I said, any amount, and it goes to the campus community. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the Day of Giving, but really appreciate the support of student government every year.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on now to director reports. Chief of Staff.
We will be joined by the student governments of Mohawk Valley Community College and Utica University. The keynote speaker in this event is going to be the mayor of Utica, and we will also be joined by President Soboyeho, the president of MVCC, and their vice president of student affairs. I yield.
All righty. Chief Justice.
No report.
Director of PR.
Hey everyone, welcome back. For the past week, we've been working on promotional material like posters for New York Times memberships and, as the president mentioned, the Central Bus passes. Additionally, we've sent the nameplate materials to design and develop, so those are being produced. That's all the news from me. Have a good day, SGU.
All right. Director of Wellness and Inclusion.
Hi guys. So I hope you guys saw the email that DEIB Research Center did. They launched a campus-wide students experience with AI survey, and they want all undergraduates to participate. So I recommend you guys to fill it out if you have time, because you will receive a $20 gift card plus a 5% chance to win an additional $50 gift card. So this survey remains open until May 31st. So fill it out, guys. And also, Wellness and Inclusion is co-hosting with MSA for their e-celebration on March 30th at 6 in Student Center NPR. So I hope to see you guys. I yield.
All right. College Council. All right. Advisor report. All right. That concludes director reports. Moving on to committee reports, starting with Policy Committee. Hello all. We are continuing working on amendments to the Constitution. Our meetings are Mondays in room A219 in Kinsella from 6 to 7. Thanks. Budget Committee.
Hi everybody. As mentioned previously in my treasurer report, the 2026 to 2027 budget is on the table. Budget Committee spent a lot of time discussing this budget, and I thank all of the committee members for their hard work throughout the process, as well as our organizations for working with us again throughout that whole process. I trust that the budget shouldn't be too bad, too contentious. We'll see when we get there. It's still a little ways down. Other than that, Budget Committee doesn't have much going on the remainder of this semester. We're just going to be looking at a transition document and making sure that some things that were discussed in Budget Committee this year that didn't necessarily make it out of committee will be laid out clearly for whoever runs that committee next year. Thank you. I yield.
All right. Student Success Committee.
We have been working on a student success survey, which should be out by next week. We strongly believe it will help us gain feedback on some areas that students may currently be struggling in. Please be on the lookout for it. I yield.
Alrighty. Student Center Advisory Committee.
The committee focused on facility updates, including just wearing smart locker cabinets for game room equipment and getting prices for refelting the pool tables. We are still waiting on facilities for estimates of the late night lounge renovation idea and the possible replacement of the food court LED screens with a TV. Facilities confirmed the grading of the benches can't be stained, though they are already sealed and waterproof. A work order has been submitted to repair the chairs. They have been repaired. To address the bowl chair in the theater was moved from being above a step to being on where it's actually accessible. Open form includes broken airflow on ice hockey table, missing and damaged charging stations at the student center, and we are working on the first request for the cabinet currently, and we are waiting for facilities on some projects we need their help on, and we will not be having this meeting. We will not be having a meeting this week due to professional development.
Alrighty. Wellness and Inclusion Committee.
We're meeting today at 6 in Student Center Theater.
Alrighty. Food Committee.
Setting up tabling as well as advertising the new Swipe It Forward program. Our next meeting is next week, Thursday, 4 to 5 in the Student Center Theater. I yield.
Alrighty. Safety and Facilities Committee.
Safety Facilities met this last Tuesday. It's a separate resolution to try and bring the attention of the school the whole problem on walkways, which has caused injury to multiple students. Next, we got an update on the lighting project updates. The plan for the lighting project is it should be completable by summer, with the lighting updates mostly focusing right now on Student Center and the surrounding outer ring road. Along with this, any lights that are still broken will be broken mostly around 80K / the CC parking lot. Those are currently not planned to be fixed by summer, but they'll be like one of the next things they work on fixing. Along with that, they currently break just due to the fact that the lights have too much wattage to them, and they physically cannot fix it without replacing the entire light. So even if they fix the light bulb, it doesn't change the fact the light bulb is going to break again within a couple of days due to the too much wattage. Next, we will be doing tabling for safety concerns on the 7th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And then finally, due to health concerns, I am stepping down as chair of safety facilities and giving the chair over to Matthew Fischel. I yield.
Alrighty. Class Gift Committee.
Yeah, this week we finally got our resolution on the table. Also, we are working on our transition document, and also our chair is finishing up her commencement speech for graduation. I yield.
Alrighty. And Election Committee.
This is the reminder that the candidacy periods ends on April 2nd. So if you intend to run, please make sure that you fill out and submit all the required documents by that date. For additional details and access to the necessary materials, you may refer to the campus announcement that was sent yesterday or Engage. Thank you.
Alrighty. That concludes committee reports. Moving on to organizational reports, starting with Web.
Hi everyone, Web is continuing Web Madness Week tomorrow and today. Excuse me. Tomorrow is our last two events with our Basketball Madness pop-up and our Madness Night, where we're raffling off a lot of fun things, including a Caitlin Clark jersey and a LeBron James jersey. There's free ice skating Saturday in Rome, and the Boston trip is Sunday, and then there's also events next week, so always stay tuned, and then the countdown to Apocalypse Week is here. I yield.
Alrighty. CFB. Wildcat Media. Wildcat Esports. Alrighty. That concludes organizational reports. Moving on to approval of changelog. There are no changes to approve. Moving on to old business, Bill 2526-16, Senator Beckman. It was submitted by committee, so you can continue.
Members of student government at Utica of SUNY Poly, as represented in the Senate, do hereby enact as follows: a comprehensive modernization of the student government at Utica financial policy.
Alrighty. So, as was previously made a motion within this bill to separate discussion based on article, we concluded on we were in discussion of Article 13, stipends, so we will continue there. Is there any discussion for Article 13? Senator Beckman.
A motion to amend 13.5 for 13.5.0. I'd like it to read: stipends are fixed immediately upon the following the approval of. All right, strike everything after budget, and cannot be amended. Stipends strike all that. I'm gonna send it out to everybody actually because I don't want to read all this. So
I would appreciate that.
Yeah. Just give me a second. Sorry.
Okay.
We talked about this already.
Bless you.
Oh no, it got sent out just to the secretary. Nice, nice. So sorry. What is this?
Treasurer Weddle.
Can I ask for the rationale behind this motion?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Yes, we are trying to limit something we have already done this semester. I don't see a reason why we need to. It already goes through the budget. Where is the agenda? I cannot find it. Huh? You guys got it? All right, good. Okay, well, then he's pump faking me. Okay. Sorry. Little frazzled here. All right, there you go. It should be sent. Send it to the secretary again, which would be great. Kaylee, are you getting these? Yeah. Can you send them out? I can't. All right, great.
Okay. So now that everyone has a motion in front of them, we're moving into discussion. Treasurer Weddle.
Just for clarification, it seems like 13.5.2 was also changed. Was that included in your original motion?
13.5, not necessarily just .0. So I was starting to read out, and then I just sent out the whole thing. I can read out 13.5.2 if you'd like. All right, my change to 13.5.2. It goes from stipends may not be modified during reserves poll under any circumstance excepting as described in 13.5.0. 2, stipends may only be increased once per academic year per organization / SGU executive branch through reserves poll. Obviously the wording on that is probably not great, but the intention is allowing once per year, each org or the SGU executive branch can amend stipends, and it must be through a reserves poll. I yield.
All right, Treasurer Weddle.
Yeah, I'll just respond to that a bit. First of all, it seems contradictory to state that stipends are fixed immediately following the approval of an operating year's budget, and then to outline how stipends can be increased. I also think explicitly outlining the fact that stipends can be increased during a reserves poll is concerning, to say the least, because if a reserves poll gets put on the table, right, and let's say a similar situation to what happened this year occurs where a single organization officer's duties are so drastically different than what was expected, such that their stipend is amended, and that's in there, right? And then the people in the room, right? Because we don't know who the people in the room are going to be. We're trying to think of who's coming after us, right? And we want it to ensure that there are safeguards in place. What this allows for, it in fact explicitly suggests that stipends can be increased during a reserves poll. The Senate, if they felt that their stipend was not adequate, could motion to increase their stipend and then vote on the motion that increases their own stipend. The nice thing about having stipends fixed immediately following the passage of an operating year's budget, nobody in this room is guaranteed, of the student officers, is guaranteed their position next year. Of our senators, they have to run for election. Of our appointed positions, they have to re-interview, apply, etc. The same is true for our organization officers and our organization representatives. Suggesting explicitly that people should be voting on the stipends of people who are currently in those positions is just concerning. It's messy. It leads to a lot of opportunities for conflict of interest, just bias, misuse of funds. I mean, especially for a reserves poll. A reserves poll, ideally speaking, should be used for supplemental programming, long-term projects, initiatives such as that. Increasing student officer stipends is not really one of those. I yield.
Senator Rhodes.
I think if we did want to do something akin to what this motion is wanting to do, if maybe it should just be that this whole section 13.5 just be removed, so it's at least not explicitly stated about that you can change stipends during reserves polls, but that is if we wanted to allow this in the first place, just so it's not explicitly stated. I yield.
Senator Novak.
Per organization, or is it once academic year per organization? Okay, once academic year per organization. I feel like the reason that this exists and why it should exist is, I'm not using this word lightly, but if we don't have protection for this, we are allowing the possibility of government corruption via the reserves pool. Not that it's guaranteed that will happen, or I'm not trying to say the next people will be this way, but if we ever do get a corrupt e-board or a corrupt Senate or whatever, they can just increase their stipends by thousands of dollars. And if the Senate then votes for it, I mean, yes, the reserves pool still needs to be passed by staff, but there is the chance of corruption, and then this is protection against theoretical corruption. So I think it's a good thing to keep, because, I mean, it's better to make sure corruption can happen than just hope our following predecessors, who we might not even know won't be corrupt. I yield.
Treasurer Weddle.
Yeah, to kind of build off that a bit, some pretty ridiculous things have happened in reserves polls before. We've had money directed to on-campus offices through a reserves poll. That is not okay. That is egregious. This is students' money, students' activity fees at the end of the day, and we should be spending them on student activities, student programming. The reason we budget for stipends in the first place is both to raise engagement in student government and involvement in student government, and also to, reward the officers who are working here. Serving in student government is, by and large, a voluntary decision. It should not be considered a job so much, right? The people involved in student government, ideally speaking, should be doing it because they like their work, they like being involved, they like assisting the campus. That's what we want student leadership to look like. We don't want student leadership to look like, hey, there's $400,000 in reserves and I'm sitting on the Senate, I get to vote to bump my stipend up and get a bigger paycheck at the end of the semester. The reason for those protections are really just to prevent it from occurring again. If we just cut it out, then it's ambiguous. And I don't think we want ambiguity, because then we're relying on the people after us to take the same position that I think some of us in this room at least are taking that, generally speaking, student officers or anybody should not be deciding their own salary. You shouldn't be deciding what amount of, how big your paycheck is at the end of the semester. That should be up to somebody else. The reason it's up to somebody else at the moment is the operating budget. This year's budget, for example, was passed by last year's Senate. Do we have some returning senators? Do we have some returning students? Yes, absolutely. But they were never guaranteed those positions, whereas if you're currently a senator sitting in the Senate right now, if we were doing a reserves pool under this policy, you voted to bump your stipend up by $200, you've just increased your paycheck for the semester. It's just, it's gross, right? It's messy. This is not what we're supposed to be using student activity fees for. I yield.
Senator Beckman?
I want to rescind this motion and then remake it, essentially. I rescind my motion. I'd like to make a motion to change what I sent out to the board, to everybody. Can I do that?
What are you?
Well,
motioning?
my changes to 13.5.0, 13.5.1 is fine, and then 13.5.2. Everything in the email. Those changes.
Can you just state what motion you're making?
No, the same email. I'd like to motion to have the changes I sent out in the email for 13.5.0, and then also for 13.5.2.
That's not. So you're just remaking the same motion you just rescinded?
Well, I was told I did it wrong, so I am doing that. Well, I didn't change that, so yes.
I'm not gonna hear that until you can make that a clear motion.
Well, I don't know what I did wrong. You said I did it wrong.
What?
So.
All right. I'm not gonna hear that.
Okay.
Going discussion as a whole. Yeah, it's rescinded, so we're back into discussion as a whole for the bill. Senator Novak?
With a proper motion, I'd like to make a motion to amend 13.5.0 to remove and cannot be amended stipends allocations for a given office may only be increased if additional positions are added to office allocation. The stipend per officer must remain the same for allocation. Stipend allocations may only be decreased if positions are removed from that office's allocation. The stipend per officer must remain the same for that allocation. And then amends 13.5.2. This then instead say stipends may only be increased once per academic year per organization/SGU executive branch due as eligible.
Again, that was the motion that was just rescinded, but you can make that motion, so is there a second? Second by Senator Beckman. We're back in discussion of the motion that was just being discussed. All right, is there any further discussion? Senator Beckman?
So, sorry for that whole thing. Anyway, I'd be very open to removing the ability of senators to change their own stipend, but given the fact we just went over a change to someone's stipend, and I don't think the contract changed, I yield.
New policies changed it.
I would definitely remove the /SGU executive branch in that if you think that is a problem. But I think having the ability to alter stipends is something we have just used, and removing it just because future us could be corrupt is not a good justification. I yield.
Wildcat Esports? right, Senator Novak.
I think personally, using the justification that we did it in the past reserves pool for the CFB treasurer isn't really valid, because just because we did something once doesn't mean it was a good idea the first time it happens. When we were going over the reserves pool, especially when we first started going over it last December when Treasurer Weddle was still a senator, me and Treasurer Weddle both brought up the fact that we were against passing the CFB part of the reserves pool because of the fact that the stipend increase was in there, and we thought that it set, one, a dangerous precedence for this happening in the future, and then two, we thought it was inappropriate for a stipend increase to even be in the in there in the first place, because me and Treasurer Weddle thought it was dangerous as a precedent, and that it was, even though there was an increase in responsibilities, that it would not be appropriate to do in the reserves pool, for the reason that then, theoretically, either one of us could have made a motion to then add onto the reserves pool a $5,000 increase, I mean, that's a bit extreme, to the senator contract, the senator stipends. And therefore, just because it did happen this year does not mean it should be a precedent we allow to happen in the future. I yield.
All right, Senator Rose.
Probably not the place. I think maybe kind of what I think esports representative was suggesting is maybe, like, I could see in this weird case where policy updates, not contract updates, increased workload. I could see maybe a resolution or like a line transfer or something. I don't know exactly how it would work legally speaking, but with a resolution with explicitly stated reasoning, if there is such a special case like this year, if it was really necessary. But I think I do agree that at the very least reserves pools should not have stipend increases. I yield.
Treasurer Weddle.
Yeah, just to kind of build off that. It's a good point what our esports representative brings up, and it's really why, frankly speaking, to the best that we can, we should try avoiding the amending of contracts that midway through the year, right? If you look at the contract update bill, it doesn't begin until after the executive election, the conclusion of the executive election. So those changes don't actually go into effect until we're dealing with students who aren't even going to be compensated, right, through their stipend until next fall, right? And that was intentional. There were several reasons for doing so, but you don't want to just throw someone a new contract and say, hey, sign this. By the way, nothing, like, your stipend is staying the same, but we're adding a bunch of duties, or your stipend is staying the same, but we're cutting your workload in half. Ideally speaking, those are changes that you want to have happen with a fresh start, right, with a new hire, with someone new to the position, with the conclusion of an election. Ideally speaking, changes to contracts that people are currently, serving in, have signed, should be minimal, right? That's not always possible, but to the extent possible, it should be minimal. I don't think the fact that contracts may change the justification for then also allowing the changing of stipends during the academic year. I yield.
CFB.
We didn't change CFB's policies earlier this year, it would be a disaster of a year. And I get the concern, but we're talking like this, we're going to increase someone's stipend every reserves pool. Like, it's a very special circumstance, and it has to go through Senate approval. It's not like myself as the CFB president can just choose to do it. I have to bring it to the Senate and justify it to the horseshoe. I yield.
Pro Tem Bludelum.
Our treasurer kind of brought up this point a bit earlier, but you are, to the Senator Beckman, you are contradicting yourself in 13.5.0 and then 13.5.2, so I'd like to get some clarification and rationale on that. I yield to Senator Beckman.
So that's stating when the stipends are fixed. This is when they're made during the budget. And then in 13.5.2, this is when you can change them. The reason I made them a reserves pool is because you can only do those once per year, and they do have to be justified to the entire horseshoe and then voted on by the Senate. I feel it's a higher level than a simple line transfer, and you can only do it once per year maximum. I yield.
All right, Treasurer Weddle.
Yeah, you can only do it once per year, and I recognize that the reserves polls do have to be approved by the Senate. But as I stated earlier, the Student Senate at times has done some pretty outlandish things. One that comes to mind during a reserves poll, $10,000 was given to an on-campus office for funding of events. That was passed by the Senate. The Senate passed a budget 2 years ago that was over budget by tens of thousands of dollars and saw significant increases, hundreds of dollars per position, to every single stipended position. That passed the Senate. It was actually voted down, or I guess you could say vetoed, by the administration because of how egregious it was. So we can't always, the people who are sitting in the Senate right now are not always going to be here, right? You're not always going to have a voice. There's not always going to be people who understand the nuances as well as y'all do, right? And I would also like to ask, you did state that, yes, there's a precedent with this past reserves poll. What was the last time a stipend was changed during a reserves poll, as in a direct increase, not just funding an additional event coordinator, an additional team manager, but an actual increase to their stipend? I would just like to ask that of either Senator Beckman, or I don't recall who made the motion a second time.
I made the motion second time, but that was just so that way we could have it on the wall to talk about it.
Wildcat Media first.
Someone who was in the room when they passed that budget 2 years ago, I can confidently say that they all thought they were doing the right thing. They were like, yeah, increase all the stipends. I was literally in budget committee when they made those. So you guys keep in mind that not everyone will have the right mindset as like you guys right now. You have to make sure you are thinking towards the future, and don't assume that the people will act like how you were in that position. Because as someone who's been here for a long time, it changes every single year. I yield to Keith Schwartz.
I would like to add on to what our Wildcat Media representative and what Treasurer Weddle has been stating this entire time. Is that, yes, we trust that the Senate will make the right decision. However, there's no guarantee that, just because the entire horseshoe is making a decision, that it's going to be the best case scenario. Realistically, let's say you go into a reserves pool and everyone has felt that their workload has increased, and so they feel like they deserve higher compensation. Everyone would agree with it, and everyone's stipend would go up. That doesn't make sense that you're voting on your own paycheck. It should be your supervisor or someone above you who has less bias compared to you. And as Treasurer Weddle had stated earlier, a stipend isn't a paycheck. It's not an hourly wage. It's an incentive for a student to be engaged. I yield.
I'd just like to ask if we are kind of in a cyclic conversation here, just saying, well, if the next person, they might not be as well. If there's any discussion outside of talking about what future people may or may not do, then that's fine. But if you just continue talking, I will just cut off discussion from this point on. Treasurer Weddle?
And to go back to precedent for a second, I do want to point out that when we were discussing the reserves poll, there was a motion to strike out that change to the stipend. Only 4 senators were against it. Only 4 senators said explicitly, no, we want to keep the stipend increase. 4 other senators abstained from the vote entirely. 1 voted in favor of removing the stipend increase. So I don't think that precedent is as strong as it might appear, right? And again, I would just like to ask, when was the last time before this past February that a stipend increase was actually approved during a reserves poll? I yield.
All right, Senator Beckman?
I don't know. Again, I'm a first year here. This is the only thing I've seen. One of the problems I keep hearing being brought up is that you can just raise your own stipend. I would be willing to redo my motion and get rid of the SGU executive branch and the ability to change their own stipends. So you can't vote on increasing your own. I yield.
All right, Senator Novak.
So I guess there's two things. First things first is, I hope this counts as on topic. The entire thing of contracts and updating a contract with then being able to update the stipend to fit the new contract is, we shouldn't even be updating contracts really mid-semester anyway, just because the fact that we're kind of locked into our contracts legally. Yes, we can resign, but if I say I sign up to do this specific thing, and then you add in a new thing, I'm kind of forced to do that, or I'm then breaching my contract. And that's why you're not really supposed to sign, because you already signed your contract, so you're already signing on. You already technically pre-signed then, I guess, to do any changes, if that makes sense. Second thing is I'd like to remove the motion, rescind the motion, since I'm the person who wants to change it. I yield.
All right, we're back in discussion as a whole. Pro Temp Ludewan,
On this bill to the next meeting.
a motion to table discussion on this bill till next week. Is there a second?
Next meeting, sorry.
Next meeting. Second by Senator Fisher. Going discussion on the tabling of the motion. Treasurer Weddle.
The reserves pool has been on the table for going on 2 months at this. I apologize, I misspoke. The financial policy has been on the table for going on 2 months, over a month at this point. I think if people feel the conversation is cyclic and not going anywhere, I would remind you that this is only discussion for the stipends article. Any senator or anyone with motioning power is welcome to make a motion to end discussion, and we can continue on discussing the remainder of financial policy. I yield.
All right, Senator Rose.
I would like to motion to end discussion of.
I just need to hear the motion first.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to end discussion of this article and discuss it after.
We're already in a motion,
Oh,
so
we
I
are.
will not hear that.
Oh.
Back in discussion on tabling this
Oh, yeah.
bill until next week. Oh boy, Senator Novak.
I know we still have some discussion also for this stipend article, so we're not, even if we stop this motion, there's then going to be other talking points, including, at least I plan on bringing up a motion, so we will continue talking for the stipends a lot more.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm talking about section, I mean, so we're not even done with discussing this section.
Yeah, and point of information, I was going to say, and then discuss it after all the other articles were going to be discussed, was my idea.
That's what I wanted to say, I guess I yield.
Okay, Wildcat Esports.
To give my rationale for this. My rationale is that while I get that financial policy has been on the table for a while and financial policy is very important, we also have the class gift resolution that was sent in before spring break and we have never gotten to it as yet. The class gift is also, I feel in my eyes, a bit more time-sensitive manner that we should get past if we do want something at commencement for the class gift. I know the class gift committee has worked intensively on this, so I'd like to ideally get to discussing the class gift and hopefully get it passed today so the foundation office and facilities can go forth with getting everything set up for the class gift for commencement. I yield. Thank you.
Alrighty, is there any further discussion for tabling the bill back till next week? Treasurer Weddle.
Is over 40 days away. I recognize that shipping and purchase requests and all of that do take time, but looking at the resolution itself based off what's being ordered and installed, I personally don't foresee a problem if, say, the class gift is approved Tuesday, right? We have a meeting on Tuesday coming up very soon We have a meeting the Thursday after that. We're in discussion right now of financial policy, and I think tabling discussion and then coming back to it isn't necessarily going to make that discussion go any quicker. It's going to take as long as it takes, and I think now that we're in it, we might as well get through it. I yield.
Wildcat Esports. Senator Rose.
There is also a senator appointment resolution on the table as well. Yeah, there's, and one.
Wildcat Events Board. A motion to call to question, second by Senator Beckman. Voting on the call to question, starting with Senator Pena, Senator Rose, Senator Capo, Senator Beckman, Senator Novak. All right. And Pro Temp Ludewan. All right. That passes 6-0-1. Voting on the motion to table discussion of this bill to next week, starting with Senator Pena, Senator Rose, Senator Capo, Senator Beckman, Senator Novak, Senator Fisher, and Pro Temp Ludewan. That passes 6-1-0. That concludes, I apologize, I don't have the agenda pulled up exactly. I got to scroll back up. So that concludes old business. Moving on to new business. I just need to get the resolution back up. All right. Moving on to new business, resolution 2526-23. Senator Khan is not here. Can I have the pro temp read out the resolution?
Just to clarify the motion that just passed, did that specify a date, or is that just next
It was
week?
tabled till next week. Next meeting.
Use
I
that
apologize. It was next meeting.
Motion to accept Senate Resolution number 2526-13.
This was submitted by a committee,
Committee,
so continue on.
We, the Senate of SUNY Poly Student Government at Utica, do hereby resolve, whereas the Class Gift Committee has met with appropriate administration and finalized the class gift of 2026, and whereas the Class Gift Committee has $7,000 allocated to it in the SU budget, and whereas there is $7,311 allocated in the Foundation Board as Class Gift Reserves, and whereas the Class Gift Committee and the Foundation Administration has agreed to utilize the Class Gift Reserves Fund in addition to our allocated budget to fulfill the Class Gift proposal of 2026, therefore be it enacted, the Class Gift budget allocation will be transferred to Andrea Legata and the Foundation, and they will coordinate the purchase of the items for the Class Gift. And enacted, the chosen location for the Class Gift is the Campus Center outdoor patio and the surrounding area, and enacted, there will be 2 outdoor seating arrangement, 4 Adirondack chairs, and 1 bench swing, therefore be it resolved. The Class Gift Committee will utilize their available funds to purchase the aforementioned items for the Class Gift of 2026, and be it further resolved, 2 outdoor seating arrangements and 4 Adirondack chairs will be placed in the Campus Center outdoor patio area, and be it further resolved, the bench swing set will be placed next to the alumni pavilion, and be it finally resolved, this will be presented at commencement as the Class Gift of 2026, making the Campus Center livelier and prettier again.
Alrighty. Going to discussion on the resolution. Treasurer Weddle.
To strike out from the first bullet point in enacted, Andrea Legata and, so it will instead state enacted, the Class Gift budget allocation will be transferred to the Foundation, and they will coordinate the purchase of the items for the Class Gift.
Is there so moved by Pro Tem Ludewan? Is there a second? Second by Senator Beckman. Going discussion on the amendment. Treasurer Weddle.
Yeah, just to briefly clarify, we shouldn't be designating a person to receive it. Andrea Legata is not receiving $7,000 of student government's money. She, as director of the foundation, will be handling everything, but that's covered within her role. We don't need to specify her here, and we just don't want to give the wrong impression. I yield.
Alrighty. Is there any discussion for this amendment? Seeing no discussion, we'll go into voting of striking out Andrea Legata and from the first bullet point of the enacted section, starting with Senator Pena, Senator Rose, Senator Capo, Senator Beckman, Senator Novak, Senator Fisher, Pro Tem Blutawan. All right, that passes unanimously. Back in discussion, the resolution as a whole. Treasurer Weddle.
If there's any representatives from Class Gift Committee here to send out, if one's available, a better screenshot for that first attachment. I'm having a very hard time making out what any of those numbers or words actually say. I yield.
Pro Tem Blutawan.
And see if it's any clearer, but that was what was sent to us. I'll just recheck to see if I got a better one.
Alrighty. Treasurer Weddle.
Entertain a motion to modify in the resolution to change where it states original signature of member to instead state SGU president signature.
Where, sorry, what is the exact spot of that? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. All right. We have a motion to, at the very top of the resolution, it states original signature of the member to strike out and state.
SGU president signature.
All right. Is there so moved by Pro Tem Blutawan, second by Senator Beckman? Going to discussion. Does everyone know where we're talking about here? All the senators? Yeah. Okay. Is there any discussion for this amendment? Seeing no discussion, we'll be going into voting on the crossing out and replacement of original signature of member to president, SGU president's signature. Starting with Senator Pena, Senator Rose, Senator Beckman, Senator Senator Capo, Senator Beckman, Senator Novak, Senator Fisher, and Pro Tem Blutawan. All right, that passes unanimously. Back in discussion of the resolution as a whole, Senator Novak.
Member sign, original member sign, that's on every single resolution and on the resolution template. I was putting that more to put to attention that we should probably fix the template so that way. And then I guess over the meeting, fix every single other resolution, just that way we don't have to make this in motion every single time is all. I yield.
All righty. Is there any discussion for the resolution as a whole? Seeing no discussion, sorry, Treasurer Weddle.
Could I just ask if we could hold on discussion just until our pro temp has the opportunity to find a more, a better picture of what we're looking at. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, esports. Alrighty.
I don't know if that was any better. That's what I pulled from the email that they sent us.
Alrighty. Is there any further discussion for the resolution? Treasurer Weddle?
Looking at the quote for the picnic tables, it suggests that it ships in 6 to 8 weeks. Even if this passes today, if it's ordered by next week, I don't think it's going to be here in time for commencement. I don't know if we have shipping times for the other items. I'm just wondering if the committee knows. I yield.
I guess I'm the one speaking on this.
Pro Tem Blutawan?
I don't believe we have shipping time for the rest of the items, as in like something from email, as in documented. However, I believe from our conversations with Sean, it was that the rest of the items would get here on time. I yield.
Alrighty. Is there any further discussion for the resolution? Treasurer Weddle?
question. What does MCCPA stand for? I yield.
Pro Temp Ludowan.
Yeah.
Senator Pena. All right. Is there any other discussion for the resolution? Seeing no further discussion, we'll go voting on Resolution 2526-23. Starting with Senator Pena. Senator Rose. Senator Beckman. God. Senator Capo. Senator Novak. Senator Fisher. And Pro Temp Ludowan. All right, that passes unanimously. I apologize to the two senators sitting next to each other. I see a white shirt and just keep switching it in my mind. Okay, that concludes this Resolution 2526-23. So moving on to, let me scroll to the back of the agenda. Moving on to Resolution 2526-25, Senator Pena. It's page 155 on the agenda.
Yeah, I think I'll just take the photo. Sorry. My computer is having issues right now. Yeah, thank you. Move the Senate motion to accept resolution number 2526-25.
Is there a second by Senator Capo? You can continue.
We, the Senate of SUNY Poly Student Government at Utica, do hereby resolve, whereas there are less than optimal numbers of senators in operation, and whereas several committees are at minimum attendance, and whereas an internal hiring process took place, therefore be it enacted, Sebastian Joseph will be appointed as an acting senator, and enacted, Sebastian Joseph will fill an open position for senator, therefore be it resolved, Sebastian Joseph will act as an additional representative for the class year, and be it further resolved, Sebastian Joseph will serve as acting senator until the spring executive election, and be it further resolved, the student body of SUNY Poly will be better represented, and be it finally resolved, the SGU Senate will be able to operate at a more effective level.
Alrighty, going to discussion on the resolution. Senator Novak.
I want to just bring this point over to our advisor. So I was informed during the pro temp meeting that the e-board has the ability to extend the contract of an appointed senator to be able to continue to be a senator after the election ends. That's more asking, is that allowed or no? The main reason I'm asking is because when we tried to do a similar thing in a past meeting by changing the bill itself to have ending at the end of the academic year, we were told that wasn't allowed. So I just wanted to check what's the situation before we continue discussion of the resolution. I yield to our advisor.
Yeah, it's going to take me a minute, so don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. Pro temp. Oh.
I do believe we talked about this, correct? So you're questioning whether the executive board has that right?
Yes,
I was told that. I was informed that. Okay, I just want to make sure I understood your question.
End of election. Okay. Pro temp Ludowan.
Motion to have the candidate give a brief bio, and then 3 questions, followed by entering executive session for voting.
Alrighty, we have a motion to have the candidate come up, give a brief bio in 3 questions before entering a period of executive session in which voting would take place. Did I get that? Okay. Second by Senator Fisher. Going into discussion on the motion, Treasurer Weddle.
Just to clarify, I don't know if Senator Novak, was your question answered?
Oh.
Right, so insofar as this is essentially a motion that restricts discussion, I just was wondering if the pro temp would be willing to rescind their motion until discussion on that has concluded, as it will effectively.
Oh, you can give a point of clarity or a point of information if you'd like.
Sure, I guess Bill 2526-09, which was changes to how position transitions and acting appointments work, states very explicitly under 6.3.2, in the event that the new position that the member's upholding is an elected position, the nominee will serve the student government at Utica until a special election or executive election is called. For clarity, is called refers to the calling of the calling of the results, right? So it's not now that the election has opened, they would immediately void it. It's just as soon as voting concludes. For our current executive election, voting concludes on April 16th. So that means our nominee would serve for 3 weeks. I yield.
All right. In the discussion of the executive session, the questioning period and all that, is there any discussion for this? Wildcat Esports. 150. All righty. Seeing no further discussion, we'll go into voting, starting with Senator Pena. Do you want me to restate the motion? Yeah. Motion was to have the candidate come up, give a brief bio. Okay. Senator Rose, Senator Capo, Senator Beckman, Senator Novak, Senator Fisher, and Pro Tem Blutawan. All right, that passed unanimously. Can I have the candidate come up to the mic?
Hey, how you guys doing? Can I start with like the 3 questions first, and then I'll do a bio? Okay, all right, I tried. So my name is Sebastian Joseph. Some of you guys know me by Chris. Others know me by CJ, whatever you want to call me, as long as it's a name. Past experience with like government would be I worked for immigrations for like 3 or 2 years. Went to like multiple meeting with councilmen, mayors, and Congress, and now I'm here because of Jazz, I guess. She forced me into this. No, JK. So far, I think SGU has potential to do good in this school, and I think we just gotta like make sure we take our time with stuff. Sometimes certain things can't be rushed, and I know you guys' time is very limited, and most of the people outside of this room don't get it, and I'm trying to be one of those guys that's gonna get it, you know what I'm saying? So I could stop complaining. We're college students, we have nothing else to do. All right, I'm ready for questions.
All right. Wildcat Esports.
So I think as a senator, what I would want to do is probably pass something I approve. Don't got really much. Like I'm hearing, like what I'm hearing so far, it's not too bad, and the way you guys are communicating and keeping each other in check, I kind of like it. So I'll go with that.
All right. President Lunaharo.
What are some ways you're involved on campus, such as clubs or anything like that?
I'm a part of the soccer club, help the president. I'm kind of like a shadow advisor for him. Also for Plugged, you guys probably know about Plugged, new Christian club here. And yeah, those are the two things I do here, shadow advising for now.
All right. Treasurer Weddle.
If you had to describe the role as you understand it of senator, how would you describe it? Like, what do you think it entails? What do you see yourself doing, the duties, etc.? If that makes sense, I can clarify if it doesn't.
And probably like, I could probably keep it short in like 3 words. Stay patient. First of all, I'm saying stay patient because when we're speaking about whatever we want to pass, in the heat of the moment, we don't have to make like a set decision. Yes, I did mention the limited time. I don't want you guys to think I'm contradicting myself, but we don't want to go rush into decisions because if we're, as a Senate, approving certain things, like you guys mentioned for the thing that happened 2 years ago, we want to be accountable for each other because one vote might not change anything, so we got to make sure like we talk to each other and see how it goes. Other thing is focus. I say focus on the goal is like we want to better the school, not just probably like our friend group. Not say like I know people in the SAR club, they're probably gonna come and be like, oh, we need more money for stuff. I'm not gonna like just approve whatever they say because those are my boys. So I stay focused in the benefit of the school. And then the last word is have fun with it. Understand it, take time, and yeah.
All right. That concludes the 3 questioning period. So we're now going to move into executive session. I'd like all the audience members to please exit the room as we enter executive session. Yeah.
What happens when we're in executive session and open forum occurs?
If that occurs, then we'll get there when we get there. That'll be discussed in executive session. Are we? Yeah, we're good. All right. Yo, before y'all leave, since we opened into an open forum, we did not finish in time to do a vote or anything during executive session, so I do apologize to our candidate. We're now in open forum officially, just for everyone to know. Can I have the swear-ins come to the center of the horseshoe?
Cool. All right. Whenever you're ready, just please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Could I ask a bit of silence from our horseshoe? All right. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Will faithfully uphold the student government at Utica Constitution and carry out the duties of your organization and position. You have to state your organization and position. To the best of my ability. I will represent the students of SUNY Poly in a fair and unbiased manner. Congratulations. You have to sign.
All right, we're in open forum. We also no longer have quorum. Just to let everyone know.
Didn't know that truck is technically here until 2, but they're going to stay later. So if anyone wants to go to the truck and get snacks. What are they serving? So there's orange slushies, there's a mocha slushie, hot chocolate, and then they have granola bars and chips, and it's all free.
Yeah.
For TA giving.
Good to know. Thank you.
Alrighty. Announcing my candidacy for president.
Noah, I'm announcing candidacy for president.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine Lutawan and I'm announcing my candidacy for vice president.
Is there anything further for open forum?
Son to our president, by changing the emergency meeting to the 12 to 2, facilities committee is effectively kind of dead. Because that's our meeting time, and that was the one meeting time we have, and that took me like half a year to even get that meeting time.
How many senators are currently assisting facilities?
Four senators per that.
We can schedule a different time. Yeah.
Announcements for candidacy? All right, seeing none, we are now adjourned.